Hello. How's it going? I'm pretty excited that I'm making this a fourth part because I felt like I was getting so eager to wear my new jeans, and they do fit really good, that I was like, yeah, I'll just skip right over all this stuff so I can start wearing them and do it on my own and send a picture. But I realized that was shortchanging this whole process because I too haven't done a whole lot of rivets. It's been years since I did that, and I did it just as a, I wonder if I can do this, just like most people. And then I figured it out, and I was like, okay. I did it in so many jeans. It was really hard to find good denim until recently. Most of the denim was just, it just wasn't that great. And it was very dated looking. So it was probably what the big fabric stores could get left over from, the 90s that was being used in the factories. So I don't know, it's just my theory. But I've been practicing, and I think that I think I can do these rivets, and I know I can do the tack button. Hopefully, this isn't the brand I use, and these rivets are a little softer than what I've used before. So I've looked at a few different tutorials. I looked at the closet case tutorial, and then I looked at one on Indie Sew, and just to see what people are doing. And I feel like it's exactly what I would do. So at least I'm in the right. I'm not like, oh gosh, this isn't what I would do. So. Anyway, I've got all my tools here. I need to make my belt loop, so I've got my loop turner. Here's some of my trials from yesterday. This one went good. These two did not, so you can see that the post went straight through the nipple of the rivet, and that's because it was a little long. And so on this first one, I didn't trim it because I wanted to see what would happen. The second one I did trim off the top, then I hammered a little bit more, and I still went through. And then this one I trimmed off a lot. But I'm not a big fan of how wiggly it is, and I haven't really seen what I'm doing that causes that. I know that sometimes rivets on my jeans are a little wiggly. This one feels really good, and so I'm going to go for somewhere in between these two here. So I did do my buttonhole with this really thick thread, and it looks really nice on one hand. On the other hand, it was a little fussy. So my machine sounded like it was sewing rocks. So that wasn't very encouraging, but at the same time, I think, anytime your machine sounds a little different, you're like, eek, what's going on? So, I just used a regular thread bobbin. I used navy blue. See? And then I used the decorative thread on the top because I did try it other ways, and I just really wanted that look. I just thought it looked really nice. So I actually haven't cut it yet either. I have one of my irons that I use as a weight that I'm going to use as a jeweler's bench, as they call it, or an anvil. And that's just because I don't want to hurt the surface of my table here, but you could do it on any surface probably. Something that's not soft though, I think would work best, because you don't really want what you're hammering to move away from what you're hammering. You don't want it to move down or sink down or anything. So I just have a lot of these irons around, and this one happens to not have a handle. I'm not really sure how it was used. I think it used to have a wire handle right here, and then they would put I think the hot coals in here, and that would heat up the iron. That's how they would iron things. I have a lot of these. They're kind of expensive, but I don't know if you've ever looked at really nice pattern weights, but they cost about the same with shipping. So I just like getting these from antique stores. They're like $15, $8 to $20 is what I see. So let's see. So I've got my button here. Oh, by the way, I'm Sarami. Good morning. I see a few of you are here, but just hoping that you guys can hear me and see me okay. I usually adjust the brightness often when I'm working on this dark denim. So just shout at me. Just let me know, hey, it's too dark, it's too bright, and I can adjust it because it is kind of hard. I turn off the auto exposure so that it's not just blowing out and then dialing in constantly, because it gets a little bit too hard on the eyes. So. And I think on YouTube you can zoom if you pinch the screen, pinch zoom like you do on a phone. I know you can on Twitch, but I'm not sure. I can't remember on YouTube. So if you need to zoom in, feel free to do that, because I know these little details are quite small. So here's some of my other little rivets. So one thing to note is that the post for the rivet and the post for the button are different. The one with the ribs on it is for, hi Carol, hello, how's it going? The one for your tack button has this ribbing here, like threads. And then the one for the rivet is smooth. Looks like a nail. And I thought it would be harder than it was to kind of trim off the end, but it wasn't. And these are just like standard little wire cutters for jewelry making and stuff that I have laying around from when we used to do our zipper pulls with the resin beads. Some of you might remember that. And I am not a jeweler, so sorry, I keep hearing my door. I think it's because it's really windy here, but I am expecting some packages, so I keep hearing something. I need to like shut my door so I can't see it. It's the bushes, they're flying everywhere. All right, so I think I'm gonna sew my belt loops on first, and then we'll get to these buttons because I just want to make sure I do that. I don't want to forget. And then I think also that I've decided I'm only going to put my rivets here and here. So in 2 places on each of the pockets. I don't have a coin pocket, just so you know. I'm not a fan of them. They look really cool, but I am really klutzy, like you've heard me say a billion times, and my hand gets caught in those, or I'll try and stick something in there, stick something into my main pocket, and it goes partly into my coin pocket, and then I don't know, I miss the pocket, and then I lose the thing that was in the little pocket. So, because that's how I roll. So, anyway, and here's the backs of my jeans. I also think I might continue my top stitching all the way down my leg, even though it'll be a major pain in the butt. And that's just because I think I'll like the look better. I put a bar tack here, and here, and then I did that right after my buttonhole because it was kind of nice to see what width I needed to get this effect. A bar tack is only zigzag stitching that is really close together and kind of narrow. So you would want to dial down your length to, just barely moving, and then your width to what you want. So, all right, you guys, let's see. So is anyone else sewing today? Let me move my hardware. Got some hardware going on. Let's do these belt loops. Belt loops are also called carriers. So sometimes I will say that by accident, and I apologize for that. I'm just going to do, I think, let's see. I'm going to do like a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I can't remember what this is. Sorry. I should have looked at the pattern. I'm going to do it the width that I want my belt loops to finish. I had to turn my heat off. I got so warm in this sweater. I hardly ever wear this sweater. It's one of my favorite things that I've knit, but the yarn pills really bad, so I hardly ever wear it. Okay, so I'm going to see. This is going to be the finished width of my belt loop, and that looks good to me. I'm going to trim this down a little bit, and that's just because turning this right side out is kind of a pain. So I'm going to trim this down and make it a little easier. And if you have a loop turner, it does make it a little easier. I buy these little special tools like that, like my rotary blade that's a zigzag, or a smaller rotary mat. I buy those when I have that 40% off coupon somewhere. And sometimes I just buy it from my local fabric store because I really want them to carry stuff like that, and I want to support them to do that. But I know they are kind of the like splurge. Hi, Christina. Ooh, take along tote kit. What is that? What do you mean it's a kit? Like it's all there to put it together? Like it's something you're sewing, or is there something in it? Tell me more about it. Okay, so this is how my loop turner works. You just push it all the way through. I'm holding it here. And then there's a little hook with a little, like a swivelly hook there, or catch. So I'm going to put the fabric through this, and this is very sharp, by the way. And then I'm going to make sure this thing closes, that little like swivelly thing closes over it. And then it's this little first part is the hardest part. And so I feel like this took me a long time to get the hang of. Different fabrics work better than others. Oh, you made dance shores. J Stern Designs Trident Yoga Pant. Oh, I've never heard of that. Ooh, a cedar top. What's that? I haven't seen the cedar top by Kashmir. So this is a gift for your daughter. Cute. Oh, fun, Christina. That's awesome. I really like Alana. I've actually sold stuff to her for her little yarn store from Chicken Boots. She's the sweetest person. I have a funny story about her, actually, because her booth is somewhat near mine at Stitches West. And my booth babe that I bring along, Kirby, who was here like the other day before we went to the Harry Potter movie, my booth babe just like has a major girl crush on Alana Dakos. And she would always like walk to the bathroom a different way so she could like see her and say hi and get something signed, and you know, just like all the ways, you know, in which to like put herself in front of her. And she, you know, she talked to her there a few times, and she would tell her like, oh yeah, I'm working at the Chicken Boots booth. And for the longest time, Alana thought that Kirby owned Chicken Boots, and Kirby didn't tell her differently. And I just found that out like 2 years ago. I was laughing so hard. Like, I don't really care, you know, like my ego's not like that. So when I talked with her, she thought that I was Kirby's assistant. Not funny. I was like, oh no, this is my business. Okay, so I finally got that. And so what I did was I sat there and made sure all the way around this was starting to go inside so that it would kind of like pull evenly as I start to pull, and then it'll slide better. So, and now the trick is to not lose the tension. So the tip of this tool is like right here on the edge of that fabric. You don't want to lose the tension. So you can't pull too much or too hard, because when something this stiff, it will tend to want to pull off. And if you lose your tip, you have to kind of get it going again, and it's kind of a pain. And so you don't want to do too much, see, like that. I may lose it on the end, but I can get it back on there. I know, I'm not making this look easier, am I? It's amazingly strong, though, for this little wire. And if you could feel how strong this denim is, it is pretty impressive that this little thing can pull this through here. It's really great on lightweight fabrics. And once I get it down, poking out the end here, I will pull on the fabric rather than the tool. But it's better than a safety pin. I'm almost there. I remember this last time. You guys remember this? When I did this, it took me a little bit. But once it's through, it's just really nice. Just doing little bits, like kind of like an inch at a time, probably. There we go. So now it's pulled out, and now I can really hold on to this and pull it through. There we go. I hang mine on the wall so I don't lose it. It used to fit on top of my thread stand here, but my new fancy machine has like a little rubber stopper up there. Okay, so I'm going to iron this real quick. And then I'm going to top stitch it with the decorative thread. I think the only thing after all of this that I'll have left today is to bar tack my belt loops so that I can kind of continue that look. And I'll probably do that off camera, unfortunately. Oh shoot, I lost my spool. But it's still drawing okay. This thread is more like yarn, you know? There we go. I always sew a little bit. Sorry, I keep raising and lowering my presser foot. I have to crank down my tension quite a bit when I use this thread. And I did the same on my home machine. I don't know if that'll help any of you, but I did crank my Tension down, not quite as much as I'm doing here. Like, I'm really cranking my tension down. In fact, I can't even crank it down anymore. That sounded a little too tight, so good. I'm glad I can back it off a little bit. I have two dials here, but it's this one, the top one. I don't know if you can see it. So I have one here and I have one here, but this looks like the tension dial, but it's actually this one. If you have an industrial machine, actually, I didn't know that till like the last few years. I always adjusted this bottom one. Let's try that again. That looks good. It's not easy to adjust the tension with such a thread weight difference between the two, so just do the best you can. Let me just iron this real quick. I guess a way to get around, hi Ida, how's it going? To get around like turning that really long tunnel without a loop turner, you could cut up your belt loops. The only thing with that is you may end up losing a little bit on the end of each one because of fraying, and because of whatever you use to pull it right side out may end up kind of pulling even more of this, and you may end up losing a little seam allowance. So just be warned, maybe cut your belt loops a little longer and then you could do it. And then you would save that whole like long turning it right side out. Okay, so I think I'm going to sew on each edge. Can you guys hear it? It really does sound, it sounds pretty chunky. So, when I do something like this, I like to start from the same end both times. And that is just so I don't get any like torquing this way. Look at all the blue on my hands already, and I've barely started today. Wow. I got a little off back there. Did you see that? Here we go. Okay, so let's see. I want 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 5 of these. So let's see. How long is this? It's like 18, 22. So what is that? 4.5 inches? Let me do some quick maths here. Because remember, I can't do math in front of people. Yeah. So almost 4.5 inches. So we'll do it a little bit shy. If you had an even number, you could actually, you know, just go in half and then in half again. But that'd be a little long. So we will, see, the tension's not so good right there. Good thing these are just belt loops. A little better down there. My stitches are not, ugh. Look at that. They're a little narrower right there. I'm not going to stress about this because they're belt loops. They will be largely unseen. But it is something to note for the next time I do this, you know. No, I did that, Ida. You just missed it. That's all. I sewed the tunnel. I actually have an extra tunnel here. Or carrier, or belt loops, sorry. I sewed it right sides together, all the way down at 1/4 of an inch, then trimmed it a little, and then turned it right side out. And then I think you came in about like right when I was finishing, and I ironed it and then top stitched it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Ooh, Ooh, not bad. Okay. I'm going to make sure they're all the same length since I'm talking and measuring at the same time. I would probably put this on my table and rotary knife them. That way I can press down and keep it accurate, you know. There we go. I'm sure in the instructions for the ginger jeans it tells you exactly what to cut them. Alright, so let's see here. I think I'm gonna put them like just inside like this, and then just on the back of my side seam, and then at the center back. And kind of tempted to leave my top stitching thread on because I'm going to immediately turn them up and then edge stitch them down. Let's see here. I've been clever in the past and I included them in my waistband. That was kind of nice. It's kind of handy. But that was on a pant pattern that I'd made so many times I really had it down pat. I'm trying to decide like how wide I want them because I do wear a belt. I wear a belt pretty often actually. Something like that. So I'm going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I think like what they do is actually line it up here. And then you can do that. You know what I mean? Then that way you have it here and then you can top stitch it down. I think I'm gonna, let's see. Maybe I should get the directions out and see. Let's see what they suggest. Oh, I already put them away. Sorry. All right. Let's see. I can't remember what I decided last time. Let's see. I think like you could have put these in the waistband on this seam or this seam. And you could have put them in there, just left them hanging, and then come back and then top stitch it down here, and then top stitch it down here. And then you'd have this little like loop like that. As long as it's wide enough for the belt that you want. Hi, Olivia. Yeah, we're on the home stretch. We're doing just all the like hardware and hems and things like that. So, and I did try them on, you guys. They fit really good, and it's just like they're so close. Like all the things happened that I did, that I wanted to happen to them, and now I'm just like, oh, I just want to make them even better. You know, it's like, oh, I just want to take them in like a 1/2 inch here now, and lengthen this a 1/2 inch. You know, it's like little tiny tweaks now to get really picky about it. You know. Yeah, I think I'm gonna use that as a. Actually, I think I'm just going to go like that. I'm going to go like a 1/2 inch away. You can always take it out, and I do often. You know what I did take out, you guys, is my pockets were way too low. My back pockets, they were way too low. And I know I said, you know, you don't have to grade the the pocket markings on the back if you're going to change that lower rise, and you shouldn't have to. I think I used the wrong holes, or they were in the wrong spot. So I think that was my bad, and I was pretty disappointed when I saw how low the pockets were on me. But I did raise them up like, you can't even tell. This was where they ended, right here, so almost 2 inches, like 1 3/4. Oh, Carol, I mean, you know what, Carol? I've been doing this a long time, but at the same time, you're going to learn here that I'm not like the perfect how-to. I'm not seamless. I make mistakes all the time, and they will tell you. Everyone in the chat will tell you. It's totally different when you're sewing live for people, that you definitely do make more mistakes. And I just roll with it. You know, sometimes I definitely end and go, oh my God, why am I doing this? Why would anyone watch me? And I have to remind myself, I'm not doing this to be like a know-it-all. I'm doing this to hang out with others that are really passionate about sewing and want to just like learn together, make mistakes together, laugh about it, and then just carry on, you know? So, and then like last week I felt like, okay, that didn't go so well. Like, I don't know why. Just sometimes, maybe it's just that common self-esteem thing. And then I got just the loveliest comments on my post stream, you know, post on Instagram, and it made me feel so much better. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know, Carol. I get a little messy. Don't worry. And if you knew me in real life, like my friends are like, I can't believe you're doing this. All right, so this is a bad idea. I'm not going to use my contrast thread. Where's my seam ripper? Oh my goodness. I had it yesterday. Oh, it's right here. It's at my other machine. Here we go. Here's the reason why we don't use our thread. It was too obvious. You could see it. So now you know. Don't cheat. Just go back to the other thread. Yeah, I think a lot of my friends are pretty surprised I'm doing this, Carol. I do really like, I love like hanging out and stuff like that with people, you know, talking with them and stuff, but I don't seek it out, you know what I mean? Like I pretty much stick to my own. I lost the thread through the top of my, see, because I have a thread tree and then a little platform where the big spools of thread sit, and then an arm above it with the hole, and it goes through the hole and comes down. And so when it comes out of that little hole, it makes me crazy because it's so hard to get the thread through that little hole because you have to go back to front. It's almost harder than threading the needle sometimes. Which I can totally do when you're not watching me. But when you're watching me, I get all like inaccurate. Because I don't like look at it the same way. Because my head would be under the camera. You know? It's like doing math in front of people. Okay, I need to lighten up my tension a little bit. And then here, let's put this back on now. You know what, I really don't like all these threads that show. In fact, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to fray it. I'm going to get rid of all the white ones right now. You know what I mean? It drives me crazy. I hate that stuff peeking out after I've sewn something and then washed it, and then I see that showing through. It just makes it look less polished, you know? I'm gonna put this way down here. Okay, I'm gonna trim my thread. Oh, because I didn't sew a little bit after I had changed my thread, I get a lot of extra thread on the back. All right, now I think I'm going to try and enclose that. I'm going to trim this down a little bit, and I'm going to enclose it the best I can. Except that I really want I want a really wide thing. So actually what I'm going to do, sew it again. Like that. That's how my belt loop's gonna look. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with it. I need to cut them down. I want them to be shorter. Not so much belt loop. I'll tell you what, like, I think that everybody sewing is amazing. Like, I'm one of those people, like, I just don't really, it doesn't need to look perfect to me. Aw, thanks, Carol. That's amazing. You didn't watch the parades instead. But I will tell you, like, I have been around people that aren't so kind to people who home sew, that are sewers, you know, that they're a little bit elitist about their own sewing. I've been around a lot of sewers over my life. And I've definitely learned by listening to other people what I like and what I don't like hearing. And I've definitely been on the negative end of those comments, especially when I was first starting out. I hear them when I'm in my booth at shows sometimes, like, oh, I can make that, you know, and I just think, that's awesome. Like, if you can, that's awesome, you know. They run the gamut, right? And I have a few pet peeves. But I will tell you, like, the one thing that makes your work look nice, even if you're not an amazing sewer, is trimming the damn threads. Just get rid of all the little loose extra threads, because the person's eye goes right to it and it makes them doubt the whole project or makes it look like it's home sew. And so that would be my tip to people that are just so like, don't want to show people what they've made or feel like it's not good enough. It is, because you made it and it's not easy. It's so hard to do. And unless you're doing the exact same thing over and over and over and over and over again, there's no way you're going to be an expert in that, right? It's just like I say, like you're not an expert at making a grilled cheese sandwich the first, 4 or 5 times, right? Especially since you're probably 8 years old when you learned, or 10 or 15, So why are we so hard on ourselves? But I'll tell you what, just clip the darn threads off your stuff and make it look more polished. Because I see even really good, like people that are really popular for what they do on their blogging and their sewing and everything, and if you look at it closely, they aren't that yes, Olivia, exactly, it really is. So just, that's my tip. Like, I really hate it when people are unkind about someone else's sewing because they made it. That's pretty cool and they're trying. It's just like someone speaking another language. Yeah, they're fumbling over the words, but hey, they're speaking 2 languages, like, why, who am I to judge? So anyway, that's my little platform today. I really hate this belt loop. I hate this one. Okay. It's the same with knitting, like weaving in all those ends and just making it look polished and just like going over it with those kinds of things, even if you're still working on some of those like other, harder skills, just do what you can, like you can trim your threads really well. We're all experts at that, right? So start there. All right, I think I'm going to make these much smaller, like that. That's my plan. I'm going to get rid of all of this, like that. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to just sew this down right at the top. I'm going to hide my stitching for the first pass, like that. Because I'm going to come back, I'm going to zigzag this right on top. And now I'm going to stitch this down here. I want to make sure I'm not pulling my waistband. Hope you can see. I could have stitched these belt loops way better. The top stitching, But I couldn't see very well when I was ironing it, and I was trying to hurry. And I think like if I had taken my time to iron that, I would have put the seam down the middle of the carrier. On the inside, that's fine, Ida. When I was coming up sewing, growing up and sewing and stuff, like growing up, I mean like in my 20s and stuff, I feel like there's like trends in what people are talking about in the sewing world, like just like any world. And one of them was at the time, it needs to look as good on the inside as it does on the outside. Hi, Nancy. And I totally was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Everything needs to look as good on the inside as it does on the outside. And I do not believe that anymore. I feel like that's a lot of pressure, We do not scrutinize the work of ready-to-wear stuff like we scrutinize our home sewing. But if you start doing that, you might feel differently about it looking a certain way. Ready-to-wear can sometimes look even worse, Okay, let's trim all these right now so I don't have to guess what I just did. And can I get enough of this belt loop that I like? Yeah, I can trim all this off right here. Gone. Okay. All right, let's get these sewn so we can get to the hard stuff today. This is my side. Oh, that's my side seam. Okay, okay. I'm making sure my pants stay up here on the table too, so they're not pulling and working against me. I'm gonna go about 3/4 of an inch away from my side seam there. That looks okay. It could look better. I'm going to line this up. Let's see. I think I'm going to line this up with the top stitching that's on the back rather than my seam. Because here's my seam. Because then it would look like this. So let's do that. It'll be a little off center, but it won't look like it. It'll look more on center by doing it that way. See the stitching difference? Ay caramba. How annoying. I'm stuck on the lip of my machine. This machine doesn't sit as low as my other one did. It's constantly bugging me. I got to get used to it. So once I'm done with all these, before I do the zigzag bar tack on these, I'm going to go through, I'm going to get rid of as much of this junk as possible, like this. So that doesn't happen in the laundry. You don't have to do that. It's just my own personal pet peeve. Okay, so let's see. Where do I want this? All right. So is everyone starting on the like holiday gift sewing bandwagon now? I think I am gonna sew a few things. I need to plan that out now. So I think Saturday, I have a couple ideas. I was thinking about doing like all my little like unfinished projects that I have and subjecting you to my to-do pile, which I think is so unfair because you guys probably all have your own to-do pile, and maybe we should do like a like marathon month one day where we all give ourselves a deadline to finish all our little works in progress or get rid of them, right? But I will say, well, and then let me finish that thought. On my other thing, I've had this like little discount code to finish out selling our quilt kits because I just need to make space. I may be moving soon, and I just remembered that the code expires tomorrow, and I have one quilt left to finish here. It was like I did like 2 or 3 samples for the video, you know. And I think I'll finish that on Saturday, but and I also have these little holiday bags I might do. But I think I might do the dot bag by, is it Grand Line Studio? So if you guys have that, someone requested that. I don't think she watches much lately, but I know a couple people who could use one of those, so I might do that. Oh, for the back? That was so spontaneous, Nancy. The little loop-de-loop. It does look like my butt has eyeballs. So... you know, there's that. Oh, holiday knitting. Yes, yes, exactly, Olivia. Mm. You know, and all the things of like with this fire, you know, it's like it brings up a lot of things like, like, we all think about it like, losing everything is such a like powerful, feeling, especially for I think humans and Americans in general. And I'm not a very sentimental or stuff oriented person, but like I definitely have some like attachment to some of the things that were in my parents' home, and selfishly, the other day, I thought about all the sweaters I knit my mom that are now gone. I don't knit sweaters for anybody. I knit some for my little girl when she was little, but now she just isn't going to be very interested in wearing something that I made. She is on one hand, but on the other, she could probably buy something she likes better. So, just kind of going with that phase until she kind of gets out of it. Stuffed rabbits? What do you mean, stuffed rabbits? Are those on your Instagram? I want to see those. Yeah, Carol, right? I know. It's like a boxy bag, basically. But I thought it would be fun to kind of like nerd out on it and do some nice details, I think both my dad and my brother could use them right now. And maybe I'll just make some for the men in my life. Men don't get as many handmade gifts, I feel like. How long can I make these belt loops take to sew, right? Is that what you're all thinking? They're very fussy little things. All right. Oh, cool, Carol. Well, we'll definitely do some bag making. I feel like I've been focusing a lot on garments. It is my background, but obviously, because I have another business and that's what I make and sell is bags. So I'm totally happy to share that information I've learned. Wasn't, where I learned all my skills as a pattern drafter, so I don't feel like I'm truly an expert. I just know how to sew my stuff, Look at all this white stuff I'm pulling off here. Look at this. Just get rid of it. It's partly the Lycra. Are you seeing that? Let me see if I can pull one to show you. Yeah, so that's the Lycra thread. It's really stretchy. You can see it's like an elastic thread. It's also why it's not going to dye the blue. Because synthetics they're not going to take the same exact dye as a denim would. They'd have to do a couple different treatments. I don't know a whole lot about it. I just know that. Ms. Bunny, yeah, thanks, Nancy. I know. I guess that's the only thing I could say is, oh, aren't I glad I didn't knit the last one for her? Because I owe her a sweater right now. I've never owed her a sweater, but she actually bought yarn once. I took her to a knitting retreat. My mom doesn't knit, but I took her to a knitting retreat in Maine. It was super fun, and everyone thought she was the knitter, and I was just along for the ride. How ageist, right? and then she got really good at saying things like, "Oh, this is the chickadee sweater in Sincere Sheep." Like she could talk the talk because she would realize by the time she went to breakfast that people were going to ask her like, "Oh, what yarn is your sweater in and what pattern is it?" And she could say the little spiel. Like before we walk out the door, she'd say, "So, what's this yarn and what's this pattern?" Because people were going to ask me. So she's really good at it. And so they thought she was the knitter. It was pretty cute. All right, I'm going to cut my buttonhole. I use my seam ripper. I don't have one of those really cool chisels. I go from one end into the center to the other. And then I'm going to do this thing again. I pull all this crud out. I get rid of it right now. I don't know about you, but once I'm done with the project, I kind of just move on from it. And so the idea is laughable that I will look at these after the laundry and fix all this stuff. I might if I think you guys are going to look at it, but that's it. I really want to make sure I don't clip any of these threads I made with my buttonhole because they're pretty significant sized, and one thread missing is probably going to unravel too much for me to fix. I'd have to like really get it lined up perfectly. Okay, so let's do our tack button now. Get out the big guns here. Clearing my work surface so I don't, you know, lose anything. Okay, so just to go over again, here's my tack button. And then the post you need is this one with the texture. Can you guys see that? Maybe you can see it better against the denim. You see that? This one's smooth, looks more like a nail. Just so you guys pick the right one, because I picked the wrong one when I did my trial. So I picked one of these on a rivet. And it was just because the way the instructions said it, I thought that they were talking about those catching in here into the rivet, but they meant the other way around. So I won't confuse you. Okay, wait, I need that. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay. So I've seen a couple ways to do this. I actually have a hole punch meant for doing this kind of thing because we do the tack button on our accordion. I'm not going to use it because you guys probably don't have it. It's called a screw punch. It's really cool, and it's just for putting a hole in the middle of something that's not, you know, like a hole punch sometimes is too close to the edge. You only have like, you know, an inch or two. And for pattern drafting, sometimes you do need to put a hole kind of in the middle of the pattern. And that screw punch was really great for marking like drill holes, dart tips, and pocket placements and things like that. So I used it on our accordion. It wasn't meant for fabric, but it worked really good. And we did go through a couple of tips. They're not cheap, but it just kind of helps. And in production, what they use is something called a puff notch. And it's like a needle that goes down through the entire stack of fabric with slots on the side, and then they shoot chalk down the center of the needle, and it blows out the chalk and then marks the dot. And so it's really cool. All right, so let's zip up the pant. And you kind of want, like, I was looking at my pants and my button lined up with this area here. This fly obviously goes further over. So nice, because don't you hate it when your fly like ends like this? And then when you don't iron it, your zipper shows and everybody's eye goes right to that shiny part. It's one of my pet peeves also. This is really nice that it's deeply set. And so I'm going to probably make sure that I don't shortchange that. And I put the button towards the end of the buttonhole. I do this on shirts as well, although shirts are vertical. You can put it in the middle, but the thing is, this is where it's going to sit. It's going to pull, right? So unless you want that little bit of extra room to be able to, you know, go like that, you want to put it where the button's going to be. It's kind of how I feel about like size charts. Like, look at the top measurement because that's what the pattern is going to measure. It's not going to cater to the lower measurement. It's going to cater to the bigger measurement. And that's the same with this kind of idea here. So right there. All right, so I'm going to mark it with the pen straight down. And then I'm going to look where that's at. I'm going to open my fly and give me some space. I'm going to make a nice hole with my awl. I also saw someone use a really pointy scissors. So you could do that. Put your scissors through like this. Like that. The only drawback to using something like my screw punch is that if you make the hole too big, then it will show under the button. The only drawback with using an awl is that sometimes the hole is not big enough, like now. Okay. Okay, so hopefully I'm going to get this because this isn't how I usually put them on. I usually use this little, one of my weights. Like one of these, I have a small one of these, and I don't know why, but I can get it on. Rayanne was always thought I was crazy. Okay, so you want to put it on a hard surface because like I said, you don't want this to sink into whatever you're doing, and you don't want to hurt your surface either. I definitely don't want to hurt my new table, you know. So I kind of press the fabric and spread it out taut so that the button stays really flat. And make sure the rivet is really flat. And when you're hammering, I don't think we realize it. I've only realized this because I install a lot of tack buttons. We tend to hit things at an angle like this, right? Because we don't hammer like this, right? Well, you have to with something like this. You really want to get it straight up and down. So I'm going to do a couple of taps. Make sure I'm getting it nice and straight, and then I'm going to give it a couple good whacks. There we go. Voila. No problem. Tack buttons are the easy thing, really. Let's hope my buttonhole works. Oh yeah. Ooh, shiny. That looks pretty good. I don't like that my waistband, I kind of got it a little low. So, there we go. So let's do our rivets. These are the ones I'm nervous about, is the rivets. I'm going to undo this so that I have as much room to work with as possible. Okay, so in one video I saw that they recommend cutting this tip off if more than like a millimeter shows above, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to fit all of that post into here and your fabric, right? So you will have a little bit of extra. The other video was like mine, I don't have to trim. I'm not using my method. I didn't see what made it different in her method. I have a feeling it's the rivets she's using are a little sturdier, because these do feel a little bit soft, and maybe it's because they're copper or whatever this is to look like copper. So there's that. I don't know enough about it to give an informed decision. So I'm going to go with the like trimming the tip off method, because I'll show you my samples. So here's my first one, and you can see my tip went right through the nipple of the rivet, right there. This one I trimmed, maybe I did this one first. This one first. I feel like I did this one first, then this one. I did trim it, but I hit it harder because I wanted it to seat better, and even still, it came through. This one I trimmed even more, and it's a little loose, like maybe I trimmed a little too much. So let's try and find a happy medium. You can learn on my rivets. Let's see, I'm going to make sure that I'm actually doing it where the center is, and that's about right here. So I'm glad I checked that, because I was putting it a little too high up. I'm going to really shove this in here, because I'm not actually cutting away fabric, and to make the hole that I can, some of it will go back together and it'll cover up. So see how part of mine is on the waistband there? I'm going to lift this up and go under, because I really want a nice flat surface. There we go. So this is how I'm going to gauge how much to trim off. I'm going to look at the side, I'm going to look at my rivet, and see how much is extra is sitting above that. I'm definitely going to trim at least that much off. And I'm just using these little jewelry snips. Let's check it again. So that looks a little better. I'm just going to do a tiny bit more because I'm paranoid. And make sure I'm getting it nice and straight. This is really soft though. It's really easy to trim. All right, let's go for it. I do have some extras, but I know a lot of people probably won't. I've already used some of my extras. I'm holding it together. I'm going to put it on my iron here. This is a little easier to stay flat because the rivets are a little flatter on top than the tack button has that tiny bit of a dome and smoothness. This at least wants to stay nice and flat. I'm going to go straight up and down. I'm going to check it before I go further. Ooh, that looks pretty good. It's the side view. I feel like it can go, I feel like this is supposed to go a little bit more down. So we're going to try. Eek, I'm a little nervous. That looks better. What do you guys think? Think I should go on with that? I feel like it needs to be a little bit flatter. It's supposed to spread out a little bit. I'm just going to go for it. Oh yeah, that looks better. It's a little flatter. Okay, so let's try our other one. So I should say that the Ginger Jeans recommends, I think, one here on the back pocket and one on the front pocket and then two on the coin pocket. I don't have the coin pocket. And I think one on the back pocket, only one on the back pocket, I don't really like the way that looks. It looks lopsided to me. So I'm not going to put any on my back pocket, and it's that due to that whole klutzy thing. I do feel like those catch on my seat sometimes. Not this seat, but another seat that I sit in pretty often. Do you ever have your rivet like catch on something? And I don't really want it. I looked at a lot of my pants, like the ones I'm wearing right now. They don't have rivets on the back pocket. I can always add them later, but taking them off after you've put them on is not really a great option. So I would definitely choose wisely, you know. Pick where you want. It doesn't matter where. There's no like set thing. Jean companies have been trying to set themselves apart for decades by doing something new and different, right? So you can do the same. You can do whatever you want. There's no right or wrong. When Levi started doing stuff like that, they were inventing it and trying to figure it out too. Okay, there we go. This one feels a little thicker. It shouldn't be. No, maybe not. I was going to see, maybe I need to trim a little bit more. All right, I'm going to trim a little bit. I feel like I'm trimming my cat's nails, but it's a lot easier. Okay. Well, that one feels really good. I'm getting the hang of this. Do our other side. Okay, here's another thing I thought of when I tried these on. This is really thin, this like area here, the fabric, and you can see a little bit of wrinkles like this. I think next time I sew my jeans, I'm going to interface this or put 2 layers of denim. So that's just one of my things I found. I'm really pushing in really hard because when I get to the other side, it's a little hard to see where the hole was. See? This way I can really see it and it stays lined up better. I'm going to tuck it under the waistband. I'm going to trim a little bit off. I'm kind of just trimming the sloped part of this nail. this one's a little bit like higher up on this side than this side. So I'm going to try and correct that. It's this side, so it's over here. Looks a little better. Okay, let's try my last one. So like I said, if you don't have an awl, you can use your scissors here. Mine aren't ideal for this. She had a very nice tip on hers. These are okay. I like these. They're just not as slender as some are. You know, they'd be more ideal. And you know how much I love my awl. Okay, I lost my hole. Where'd it go? There it is. It's right there. Okay. I'm making sure it's like really seated in there before I commit, you know? Now, if you had a problem and you need to take it out, you can usually use something like this to get underneath like this and just start working at it, or a little saw or something like that. We've had to do that on our own things here, and it's never like a great idea. We only do it when we know we can replace the item and we're willing to lose it forever, in the hopes of making it a 100% item. So this is you know, like tack buttons even in manufacturing are always a risk. Same with rivets, because if you know you do have a problem and it's the very last step of the item, if it goes badly, that whole item is just a second now or in the trash. And so there is always that risk. And you know, if we would rather sell it as a second with a wobbly, you know, button, you know, we can do that. All right, what do you guys think? That really gives it a finishing touch, doesn't it? I used my 3 extras, so I don't have any more. Unless I steal them from the other kit, but I don't think I'm going to. All right, so I just have my hems. I worked on my hem length yesterday. I promise I'm going to try these on and take a picture of myself in them. So let's see. Now I could do this 2 ways, because I can't. This is when you put the hem on. Typically, you would be, the bobbin is what shows on the outside, right? And it's my upper thread that is the decorative thread, not the bobbin. So I could sew this once and then go back and stitch it right on top of that navy blue thread with the decorative, or I could blind do it. Now, if I were just overlocking this and turning it straight up, I'd feel a lot more comfortable about the blind hemming that way. That's not like an actual blind hem. Oh, thanks, Carol. But, you know, doing it blindly like that. I think because we're sitting here and I'm live, I'll probably do this with a first pass through of the navy blue, and then go back and sew it with the mustard afterward, or the brass. So I'm going to top stitch my side seam first, because I do want it. I want it to go all the way down. I like the way that looks. Maybe I'll try and do it blindly, because maybe I should have done my hems before I switched that. Well, let's see. I can do my hem. I have enough thread on here, I think, to get through my, I already cut it, so I'm going to try and get through my hem here. I'm going to do a really small one. I didn't leave much for the adjustment because I knew kind of where I wanted it. All right. So I'm going to do kind of a half inch, or a little less if I can get away with it. Really don't want it to pull because it is stretchy going this way. I'm going to watch my thread. I was going to do the top stitching first. Yeah, you know what? I am going to do the top stitching first. That's why I switched it. Because I want this to be open when I do the top stitching. Oh well. I got to follow that rule. I like that rule. Okay, so let's see how I do here. This isn't going to be easy. But we did it before, so I'm willing to try it. You can learn from my pain and whether you want to attempt it. So let's see how I do. I got it in there, but my presser foot wouldn't go down. There we go. How many of you adjust your tension? Or are you nervous too? Like if you're having some issues, do you try and adjust it? I know some machines are getting to the point where it's hard to adjust your tension. Okay, so here's the trick, right? I'm gonna have to get all the way down into my leg, all the way down there. This is gonna be hard, you guys, but I'm gonna try it. In fact, maybe I'll do it from the, let's see how it looks from the inside. It might actually be a little bit easier. At least that way I know I have less of a chance of stitching something else that I don't want to stitch. So I'm going to do this, 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 this. I'm just doing like a trial. Whew. Let's see. I'm not sure. I may have to go up from the bottom, but I don't want to do that either. So we're going to just go inch by inch, try it. Pushing my seam allowance to the back there. You guys see okay? Is it a little dark? How's that? All you need is a few inches. That's all. And then you can do it. This is actually not hard. So far. We'll see. Ooh, I'm almost there. Woohoo! Okay. Oh, almost. It's like sewing in a well. I've sewn harder, I can do it. Oops, I accidentally backtacked. I did it. Now I have to like pull it all out. Yay. All right. I got my little bit of my seam allowance moved over there by accident. All right, let's do the other one now. Now we know we can do it. It's a little tiring on the hands, I will admit. And I'm hot. It's a workout. My only upper body strength, though, is my is my arms and hands from sewing. What is this right here? Oh, that's the one I just did. I'm like, how do I have two of those? That's the one I just did. It would be such a bummer to run out of bobbin thread, but you know from watching this stream that this is exactly where I always run out of bobbin thread. When I don't like having a start and stop in the middle of a top stitching seam, right? It always happens on my back pockets. So it's like the equivalent of yarn chicken for the knitters out there. It's bobbin chicken. Whew. Oh, I did that little back tack thing again. I have a little back tack right here. I have a big one over on the right hand side. It's like a bar, but this one is like a nice little handy one where you can do it with just your finger or your knuckles. And sometimes, yeah, the project gets caught on it. But my hand's getting pushed up against it because there's so much fabric here. Yay. Yay. Okay. Now I can hem my pants. What time is it? Oh, it's only 11:15. Wait. 11:15. There's no way. What time is it? 11:50. Oh, yeah, because I start at 10 on Thursdays. Oh, gosh, that was just a time warp for me. I'm like, wait, I haven't been streaming for just 15 minutes. It's been longer than that. So maybe I should try doing the, so do you want to see what that's it. That's the stitch I just did right there. That looks good. Have a little bubble there. Denim got a little stretched right there or something, maybe. Yeah, so I still did that bar tack, and that bar tack is located at the bottom of the pocket, this pocket inside there. I could feel it. I just did that because that's what the instructions suggest, and I think it looks really cool. There's just something about doing that. It just makes it look like you know what you're doing when you put these together, right? So you add those little bar tacks and those little touches. I forgot that I had wanted to put like a little ribbon in my back pocket, and when I tore off my pockets and put it back on, I forgot to do it again. So, live and learn. All right, so let's see. Maybe I will try and blind sew my hems. I don't think it's the greatest idea. I've had worse, but here, we'll pin it. How about that? That'll make us feel better, right? We'll just do some pins. I forget about that option. I love pinning. And then this way I don't have to change my thread 2 more times. I'll just hem it from the top. And sew right over my pins. I'm going to do an extra one there because this is exactly where it'll sneak out. I know. I know you. I know what you want to do. Could just iron this too. That might be enough. Right, Nancy? Isn't that so funny how we take that kind of stuff for granted? Yeah, we're really hard on ourselves. And there's definitely great things to look at ready-to-wear stuff for ideas on how to finish. Oh, look at that. I got my seam allowance there off to the side too. You know, because I feel like that there are some really nice things to take out of their book for the best way to secure something with the least amount of steps is a really ready to wear is a really great resource for that. And you know I'm about that. I'm not about the couture type of sewing. I love it. It's just not for me. I like to have something that is sturdy, easy to wear, and that I'll finish. You know, like I really feel passionate about finishing projects is the for me a vehicle to boosting my self-esteem, you know, and or making me feel successful or productive, and those are all things that are dovetail into my personality type, you know. So but other people really want it to be what they're considering perfect. So and there's value in that, you know, like that is what they might want. I'm going to turn this. Wish I would have done this first, but I'm going to turn this to the outside. Like this. It's easier to sew from the inside of a curve, or the circle, I mean, like that. Alright, so I'm going to start and stop on my inseam, if I can locate that for certain. This is my inseam right here. Is this my inseam? Yeah, that's my inseam. What do you notice about your Levi's that you don't like, Nancy? Ow, this is so pokey. It's so pokey. It's like just the right diameter that really pokes me. I'm not going to start and stop right on the bulk of my seam. I feel like, you know, all the years I had kind of a rubbish home sewing machine has scarred me from doing things like that. So I set myself up for success. I feel like starting and stopping on an area you know you're not going to have any issues is always more important than potentially breaking your needle, which can throw off the timing in your machine or potentially injure yourself, you know. So you can start and stop away. I could totally start and stop with my industrial machine right there. It would be the more secure thing to do. But let's face it, this is not, you know, I'm not farming in these. So I'll just start there and then I back tack when I finish. I can feel the ridge of my hem. I'm just sewing right over the pins. I don't need to take them out yet. I can take them out afterward. I really don't want to fall off the edge or stretch out my hem because it is stretchy, so it wants to. A little bit of tension issue there. Eek, I'm taking these pins out. They're poking me. So here's the ridge. I have my presser foot kind of centered over it. I ended up back stitching right on that thickness. That looks pretty good. The tension is not perfect. I'm seeing a lot of my top thread on the bottom here, and I can feel it. If this causes me issues, I can re-sew this. I'm going to see how it goes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Nancy. You know, there's so many areas for errors by the time a pair of pants gets to the sewing machine in a factory or any garment, because it starts with, is the pattern good, right? And then it goes to cutting it out, and then it goes to the sewer. So there's 3 areas potentially, and if, say, like the original pattern is 1/8 of an inch off somewhere in the outer seam, and then coincidentally when they got cut, that same seam got cut off, 1/4 of an inch off. That doesn't seem like much. In some ways it is in others, even if it was just 1/8 of an inch, right? And then it gets to the sewer. Now it's 1/4 of an inch off, and maybe the sewer sewed something else that attaches that outer seam early on. She or he like kind of misaligned something, or had to just kind of fudge it. That outer seam now is maybe 1/2 inch off, so then she had to stretch it, and that led to the puckering. Because if they are caught like trimming something to fit, they can get in big time trouble. It's unfortunate, because most factories all the factories I've worked with have been just top notch, really respectful, treated the workers amazing. They had healthcare benefits, great lighting, bigger tables to sew at. That is not common. And it's sometimes not the sewer's fault in the first place that they're doing that. And most sewing floor supervisor will say, hey, how come you keep trimming this spot? And they're like, because every time it gets to me, it's wrong, and it's the only way I can make it work, So, to get them in trouble seems kind of short-sighted, unless the sewer is sewing things inaccurately and covering up their inaccuracies. So, lots of scenarios. I've seen lots of strange things. And maybe it's the cutting department. Maybe they're mad because every time someone made the marker, they always put this one pattern piece next to another pattern piece, and when they go to cut it, they can never quite make the curve and then hit that other piece perfectly, and they end up trimming a little bit of it off on accident. There are, like in a denim factory, that is not a human cutting, though. It is a laser, usually, that cuts it all. It's pretty magical to watch. They lay out, it's a machine, and they put this roll of fabric on there. They don't even have to put the roll of fabric on there because it's probably on another machine. And then they feed it in, and it rolls the fabric back and forth. It's like a big, huge computer bed. And then they've loaded the marker in, and maybe they had the computer help them make the marker, which is like the layout of the pattern pieces, kind of like what you see in your home sewing patterns. And then a laser comes and cuts it out. And the first time I saw this, my mind was blown, because I had barely seen stack cutting at that point, and then to see some invisible force cutting pattern pieces out of thin air. No pattern piece laying there, no paper, no drawing. It was like the computer was just manifesting the shapes out of the fabric, and the fabric, it was like the stack this thick or higher. So it was, thousands of pairs. It was so cool. Did I do this one wider? I did, didn't I? Right, Nancy? I think you can. I think, like when I was kind of coming up in the industry, Gerber was the pioneer for things like that, and AutoCAD. AutoCAD, though, wasn't for the garment industry. AutoCAD was for the auto industry also, and also just other engineering things that were bigger than the garment industry. The garment industry is huge. It's the second largest employment industry in the world. So you definitely can't ignore it. It's a shame it does get overlooked constantly, but I think it's just so fraught with issues now, and nobody wants to tackle it, right? And it's not a part of politics like agriculture is, which is a whole nother topic, and a really messy one, and a really sad one, because of how it's gotten embroiled in politics, like pork bellies and grain prices and stuff like that. So, the garment industry never really got hooked into that. In fact, we've just exported all of it. Okay, let's see. Here is my, I'm gonna start on my rise. This time, yow, I keep getting poked. I'm gonna, I know, I should have pinned the other way. I should have learned, right? I'm gonna start behind my seam and do my back stitch back there. Just like you would. Now, can you see that my presser foot is trying to press this seam? Can you see that? Ouch, ouch, ouch. It's trying to press my seam up, so I'm gonna make sure I lift up my presser foot and make sure it doesn't happen. I hope you can see that. I know it's really dark. I can't really see how dark it is because I have these big lights on me. All I can see are these pins poking me. Trying to keep the light on there. I never did check my bobbin. This is a good spot for it to run out. On my very last stitch. Oh my gosh, I know it's gonna run out. Whoa, the power just flickered here. All right, you guys, if I lose power, I'll see you Saturday. It could happen. We're almost done anyway, right? It's a big storm going through right now. Okay, we made it. Oof. Is the stream flickering for you guys? The power keeps flickering here. Does it look okay? Yeah, it is torture sewing. It's a bed of pins instead of nails. Okay, let's trim this up. Let's turn them around. I wanted to see what my fly looked like over here. I need to fix this right here. I kind of wanted this a little lower. Let's get rid of some of these. Look at how blue my hands get. Oh, hey, Brooke. Yeah, I know. This, the stream looks like, okay, good. Good, good. Remember that time I had that alarm on my surge protector? That scared me. Okay. Let me turn them right side out. I am pretty excited about these. I might just make a whole nother pair and do a video series on it where I'm not like making mistakes left and right. I think I might do that for an archer as well. I'm not letting myself do anything fun like that though until I finish the closet organizer pattern, which I've made a ton of headway on. It's pretty much all together. It's all in a document. It's just not pretty. So you guys are just going to have to forgive me that I'm not a graphic artist and it's not pretty, but it's very functional. And I'm just double checking it now and making sure it's as streamlined as possible and not confusing. And I'm hoping by the end of tomorrow that it'll be totally done and ready, and I'll be emailing it to you all. So, alrighty. Here's my pants. Yay! Yay! Alright, let's see. So here's my little holiday bags that I have to make. So I was thinking about making these, and they go like this. You can buy this on Spoonflower, and I made a double size here. So these are things. Thank you, Brooke. And then I have my daughter's kimono, and I have this quilt over here to bind. And then here are the patterns I got so far. So I have these Caroline pajamas. I'll save this for spring, but I really like princess seams, and I feel like finally princess seams are coming back. Yeah, Brooke, I'm definitely going to take a picture of me wearing them. The Sasha trousers, this is right up my alley. I love things that are really smooth on the front. And then I accidentally bought 2 of these. And this is in the needle sharp subscription box. I think is this the lightweight box, Nancy, or the medium weight? So if any of you have the needle sharp, it's the Morgan jeans, and they're really cute. I think it's a button fly. Right, Nancy? Yeah. It's a button fly. It doesn't... Non-stretch and salvage survival. Yeah, button fly. Yeah, this looks really cute. So I'll try these out and maybe we could do them together. Mine is, what's in my box? Mine's the heavyweight. It's not ginger jeans. I feel like gingers are maybe the medium. Lightweight, yes, buttons. Okay, great, thanks. And then I got my fabric swatches right here for the needle sharp. So in the needle sharp box, it's this pattern, and you get one of these 3 choices. Can you see that? Oh, sorry. Here we go. Let me make this a little less bright. I know you don't all have needle sharp, but you're just going to see a few of us probably doing it. So I thought we'd talk about it. Yeah, so that's the lightweight. I like this, Nancy. Do you not like how the light color shows through, so it looks more like a printing? I kind of like it. I think that's going to wash really well. And I like this too. I like all 3 of those. Those are really good. And then the medium weight, which I'm sorry, I can't remember what's in there, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, yeah, exactly, Nancy. Yeah, I have a pair of those too, because we're going to do that sew along, which I'm getting to. It's in the medium weight box. This is a black, lighter weight, tencel denim. And then this is a dark and then a heavier. These are both blue. This one almost looks black, but it is blue. What does it say? It says dark indigo, and this is slub indigo. So it does have actually this little bit of texture. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like canvas. Yeah, I mean, denim is a twill weave, so canvas is a twill weave as well. It could be a canvas, you know. Like I've actually thought about making canvas from the fabrics that I have here. A canvas pair of pants. And then the heavyweight box, I think I'm missing... Oh, so the curvy, I didn't get the curvy thing here, but the there's a royal blue in the curvy box, and that's back ordered, and so is this black one. But I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's this rust color. Okay, thank you, Brooke. Yeah, perfect, Nancy. I think that's a good idea. You can't go wrong with dark indigo, you know. They always look new until they don't. So you kind of see this. It's called antique rust coated denim. I'm kind of intrigued, except there's a sheen, and I can't tell if it's a sheen like just like the denim is polished and it would go away, or but I love the I like that antique rust color. Otherwise, I'll just go for the regular one. S jean. I don't know what S jean means. It looks like the this is the length grain on all these because the stretch is going this way, which would be like this. If you're wearing it, you're going to turn these sideways like this. So anyway, I thought I'd show you my little swatches. That's a January box, so those will ship probably kind of soon. Yeah, shiny. Exactly. And then I have some fabrics coming soon, and then I ordered the Mountain View pull-on pants because we're all going to do a sew-along in January, right? So if anyone's interested in doing that, and I feel like, don't quote me, you guys, but I feel like that is the pattern that I looked at that had a plus-size option, but I might be wrong. It is shiny, huh, Brooke? Yeah, I know. It's a little, I like that, love that, but on me, I don't know. I'm just not a shiny person. I love sequins. I wouldn't wear sequins. I love velvet. I wouldn't wear velvet, you know, so. So yeah, that Mountain View pull-on pant is by Itch to Stitch. It was on sale over the Thanksgiving weekend, so I got that. It is a PDF, so I think starting in January is good. We'll just make a goal that we're going to start by the end of January. Does that work for you guys? That way we have plenty of time to... It does say it's coated? You can't swap it anymore. Really? Does it tell you can't swap anymore? Yeah. So the Mountain View pull-on jeans. I'm pretty excited about those. Like, we'll figure out. I need to like start looking for denim for us, because you guys have told me it's like 20 to 30% stretch when most of these are 1%. And I just want to make sure that's not the Lycra content or something like that, because some of that gets a little bit confusing. And let's see. Okay, so there's a chance I could be moving. I found an office yesterday. I'm going to go look at it again today. And that may make me like put the stream down for a couple weeks, because it would need a lot of work, this place. But I'm not sold on it yet. I'm going to go by again today. So I was going to tell you that, Brooke. So we'll see. Like one more project right now is Eek, because I have a show coming up in February. Only one, but I just still need to prepare for that. I'm my production now because, I lost the factory, and, poor Ann lost her machine. So she was my other factory. So, and it was a one-woman factory. She was awesome. So I'm going to give her some time before I start throwing stuff at her. And, let's see. What else do we want to talk about? So Saturday, I think what I'll do is I'm going to maybe look at doing some fun things with 5-inch squares because of my quilt kits that I'm trying to, I'll send you a little video, Brooke. It's got like this new office. What's interesting is that, what's interesting about this office, you guys, is that I saw a little like display rack filled with knitting needles, and I was like, what's that? Like, who is here? And his wife apparently had like a little fiber, like a little yarn store there, and she used to sell things, and like she ended it the year I moved here. And the one corner of this place, it's probably got it's got really high ceilings, like my place does now, probably like 10 feet ceilings. And it's got 2 walls of like library bookshelves with the library ladder that rolls on it, just like my friend Sunny's yarn store originally had. And so I don't really need all those, but they're really cool, So that's a possibility. So yeah, I'm not the handiest person. I'm more of a like nose to the grindstone, put me to work type of person. I don't really like doing all those kinds of things. I like to get help. So we'll figure it out. So Saturday, I'm either going to work on doing some like creative things with 5-inch squares, and maybe I'll call it quilts for noobs, because I am a noob when it comes to quilting. And then I think I'm going to look at the DOP kit, but I might just do the DOP kit because that sounds really fun. It sounds like fun to do like a few of those by Grainline Studio, and maybe a few of their other things. I'm not sure about I don't really need a duffel, but I'll look at it. I have all this canvas, so I'm going to check it out. So we will see. So stay tuned. Sorry, I'm being a little bit on the fly with the stream schedule lately, but you're not here for my expertise, right? So I am definitely keeping into consideration all the things that I know, Nancy. I know. I have to not think about that. So I do, I am keeping all your like suggestions for things to sew. I have them kind of in my head, so. Oh, that's awesome, Olivia. Yeah, but I'd be giving up like a little kitchen and a private bathroom. But it is really close to my house, and I really don't like my landlords here. It's just like this weird thing I have. So I need to like keep my head screwed on straight. Like I have a really nice space here, and my lease is up at the end of the next month. So I have options, but because of this fire, I stopped looking for a place because I was just like, oh, I don't want to take up a spot that someone, a lot of businesses were displaced and they're looking too. And so the rental market here is there's nothing now. There's nothing for sale, nothing for rent. So I didn't want to be one more thing in that whole mess. So I decided to stay here, and I just drove by this place for like the 50,000th time and asked the guy, and he was like, well, I just rented that yesterday, but I am trying to rent out part of my other space here. He's been there for forever. He owns the building. So anyway, too much information, right? I may not even take it. All right, guys. Thanks for coming. I'm really glad we just stuck to these little details today, and I really hope you guys try out some jeans soon. Just try out one part of it. Cut out like just cut out the corner and work on that and try it, get good at that. And then, once, you've tried a few of these things over and over, or just tried top stitching, you're there. Like, remember how fast the backs went together? We did that in like lickety split. So you can do it. This thread's making me look good, you guys. And the rivets, they make you feel like a genius. So you saw them before and now you see them after, and you saw how hesitant I was, and it went fine. So I know you can do it too. So, all right, you guys, nice seeing you. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Hope the weather's good where you are. It's wonderfully rainy here. And I will see you on Saturday at 11 a.m. for whatever I plan on doing. So take care. Bye.